End your long week with a weekend getaway. Save up to 40% on all weekend hotel stays. Book by January 31st at HiltonAnyWeekend.com.
And good morning to you. Thank you so much for being with us. It's 30 minutes past the hour. If you expected President Obama's inaugural speech to be all warm and fuzzy, you were wrong. It was a tough speech. And unlike his first address, the president laid out his second-term agenda, and it very much includes government as a solution.
Together, we determined that a modern economy requires railroads and highways to speed travel and commerce, schools and colleges to train our workers. Together, we discovered that a free market only thrives when there are rules to ensure competition and fair play. Together, we resolved that a great nation must care for the vulnerable and protect its people from life's worst hazards and misfortune.
Don't agree with all of that? Then expect a fight. Bipartisanship was not part of the president's speech. Senator John McCain said of Obama's speech, quote, "This is the 8th inauguration that I've been to, and always there's been a portion of the speech where the president says, I reach out my hand because we need to work together." That was not in this speech. Maria Cardona is a Democratic strategist and CNN contributor. Anna Navarro is a Republican strategist and a CNN contributor. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. Good morning, Carol.
Okay, so some conservatives says Obama's speech was actually an ode to big government. It was a hymn to big government. Anna, are those conservatives right?
I think it was an ode to the progressive agenda. I've heard progressives on TV describing it as one of the most progressive speeches they've heard. And so I can tell you that if that's what progressives are thinking, conservatives and Republicans are thinking much more so. I heard, Carol, what I heard was a lot of progressive ideology sandwiched in between some talk of togetherness and unity. I was one of those Republicans that was hoping for a speech that would inspire the nation, that would unite. We've got so much division. Look, this is his inaugural. It's his speech. It's his tone. It's the way he's going to go down in history. But for those of us who were expecting something that would be inspirational to the entire nation, that would do what President Kennedy did, make us all ask, what can we do for our country? This speech wasn't it. It was President Obama's speech. He had his right to do it. I don't resent it.
Well, Maria, some conservatives say you can pretty much tell that President Obama's agenda, part of his agenda in the second term, is to absolutely crush Republicans in Congress and do what he wants as president with the power of the office.
Well, I certainly wouldn't go that far, but I definitely think that from this speech we do have a preview of a president who is absolutely much more confident about the values that he underscored during the campaign and that frankly got him elected. And this was his message, basically saying he will continue to fight for those values because he believes that the majority of the American people are with him. So what are those values? The fact that we need to make sure to fix our problems focused on the middle class, that the solutions cannot be unbalanced, and this is where Medicaid and Social Security and the social safety net come in. It doesn't mean that he's not going to deal with the debt and the deficit. He's going to deal with it in a balanced manner. He talked about immigration reform. He talked about gay rights. He talked about equal rights for women. This is where the country is or is headed, Carol. And I think that this was an underscoring of this president basically telling the American people that he's going to fight for those values because he believes that's where the majority of the American people are. He also talked about unity, that we can't do any of this unless we do it together. And that, I think, was the notion of unity and demonstrating to Republicans that he wants to work with them on this.
Well, I didn't really get that from his speech, Maria. I didn't get the unity thing and working with Republicans. In fact, Anna, I want to ask Anna about this because Republicans are at an extreme disadvantage. For example, the debt ceiling. Let's just use that as one example. Republicans said, oh, we don't want to raise the debt ceiling. President Obama said, well, I'm not going to bargain with the debt ceiling. And Republicans in Congress are going to vote to raise, at least temporarily, the debt ceiling on Wednesday. So it seems the president has the upper hand, and maybe that's why his speech was so darn tough.
Well, look, there's no doubt that being the President of the United States gives you the biggest bully pulpit there is in the nation. And I think he's realized that, and he is using it. Part of that speech yesterday talked about taking it to the citizens and having the citizens continue being part of this process and pushing. But, you know, with the debt ceiling, I think Republicans were actually trying to extend an olive branch, and they found themselves rebuffed yesterday. If we had said, pick the most controversial, divisive issues in the country right now, they are the issues that President Obama chose to speak of yesterday. He's got a State of the Union coming up in a couple of weeks. I would have expected that that'd be a place where he laid out his agenda, his priorities, his specifics, but I didn't expect it in yesterday's inaugural. But again, it's his speech, his party. He can cry if he wants to.
Anna Navarro, Maria Cardona. Interesting and fun, as always. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
A commuter on a Madrid rail line takes a terrifying fall onto the tracks. Oh! I'll tell you what happened next.
Watching Your Money, expert advice to take control over your financial future, is sponsored by Progressive Insurance, helping people save money on insurance. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Progressive Claims, this is Flo.
I need you. I feel so alone.
But you're not alone.
I knew you'd come.
Like I could stay away.
You know I can't do this without you.
You'll never have to.
You're always there for me.
I'll get you a rental car.
Can also use an umbrella.
Fall in love with Progressive's claim service.
Since we can't afford to open a field office with a long-term lease, I'm going to ask everyone to double up so we can make room for the Orlando field sales team.